Viewers, what unfolded on the streets of Burkina Faso recently left the entire world stunned. An unbelievable scene played out. Millions of goats were released all at once. And this wasn't the work of ordinary farmers. It was a direct order from the president himself, Ibrahim Traore. Yes, the same Ibrahim Traore who freed Burkina Faso from the chains of colonial dominance. Now, he's leading an agricultural revolution so bold that even experts in Europe and the United States are struggling to make sense of it. But here's the big question. Why release such a massive herd of goats onto the streets? Was this simply about farming? Or is there a hidden agenda behind it? Today, we uncover the full truth. At first glance, Burkina Faso might seem like just another small African nation. But the reality runs far deeper. For decades, the country lived under the shadow of Western powers. France in particular controlled politics, the economy, and even the military. The nation's natural resources, its gold, uranium, and fertile lands, were exploited by foreign companies, while ordinary citizens were left with nothing but poverty. Farmers toiled like slaves on their own soil, yet couldn't even feed their families. This wasn't an accident. It was a system, carefully designed to keep Burkina Faso dependent. But when Ibrahim Traore rose to power, he made a decision that changed everything. He declared, "We will use our own resources. We will no longer live as slaves." That wasn't just a statement. It was the beginning of a new chapter in history. Traoré understood something critical. A nation's true power doesn't lie in weapons or armies. It lies in food and agriculture. A people who depend on others for food can never be truly free. And so, he set out to spark a revolution in farming. That's where the goats came in. In a move unlike anything seen before, the government distributed millions of goats across villages and cities in a single day. Convoys of trucks carried them from region to region, unloading them into open fields and streets. Witnesses said it looked like a sea of goats had flooded the land. Roads overflowed, fields shook under their hooves, and villagers stood in awe, watching history unfold before their eyes. But why goats? What was the real purpose? This wasn't some random stunt. It was a carefully planned mega-economic project. Goats, often underestimated, are in fact one of the most valuable assets in global agriculture. Their meat is among the most consumed in the world. Their milk is highly nutritious. Their hides and wool fuel industries. And most importantly, goat farming can generate billions of dollars. That's why Traoré made goats the centerpiece of Burkina Faso's economic revival. The project was built on 3 goals. First, food security. By spreading millions of goats across the country, meat and milk would become easily accessible and affordable for ordinary families. Second, boosting local industry. Goat hides, wool, and milk could fuel small factories, create new products, and generate jobs. Third, exports. Traoré's dream is for Burkina Faso not just to feed itself, but to become a major exporter of goat meat and dairy across Africa and even the Middle East. But there was another reason the goats were released so dramatically, all at once. Traoré wanted this to be more than just an agricultural project. He wanted it to be a national movement. By flooding the streets with goats, he sent a message. Change is here, and you can see it with your own eyes. For farmers, it was a spark of hope. For young people, it was a promise of jobs and opportunity. For ordinary citizens, it was a symbol of prosperity to come. And for the West, it was a warning. For decades, Western powers claimed African nations couldn't stand on their own. Traoré's goat revolution proved otherwise. Burkina Faso was charting its own path. Of course, Western media criticized the move. Some dismissed it as a publicity stunt. But those on the ground knew better. This was a calculated plan that could transform the nation's entire economy. Because goats aren't just food, they are part of a complete economic chain. Meat and milk would feed the local market. Hides and wool would supply industries. Exports would bring in valuable foreign currency. Together, this would lift the nation's economy to new heights. And already, the results are showing. Farmers, who once struggled to survive, now run profitable businesses. Small-scale herders are doubling their income by selling goat meat and milk. Youth, once desperate to flee the country in search of jobs, are now working in goat farming, feed production, and milk processing. In the cities, new industries are rising. Factories producing cheese, yogurt, and other dairy products. Leather. Workshops are thriving, turning goat hides into shoes and bags. Even companies specializing in frozen meat exports have emerged. Everywhere, people are finding work. Every household sees new hope. And for the first time in decades, Burkina Faso's young people are building their futures at home instead of dreaming of leaving. That's why the people no longer see Ibrahim Traore as just a president. To them, he is a savior, because where Western powers once plundered their resources, he has created a plan that directly benefits the citizens. And this, viewers, is the real revolution. It's not just about goats multiplying, it's about jobs multiplying. And when jobs grow, poverty begins to disappear. So yes, the sight of millions of goats flooding the streets shocked the world. But behind that sea of animals lies a much bigger story, one of independence, prosperity, and hope. Now the question is, do you see this as just an agricultural project, or is there a deeper strategy hidden within? Share your thoughts in the comments, because your voice could be part of our next video. And if you found this story eye-opening, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon, so you'll always be the first to get the most shocking updates on Ibrahim Traore and Burkina Faso.